Namaste. So far, we have studied different aspects of business ethics and its relation with economics, law, and so many other subjects. Today, let us see what is cognitivism and non cognitivism and cognitivism versus non cognitivism. See, we have so far studied main, so many branches of ethics. There are mainly three main branches of ethics. The first branch is normative ethics, that is Kantian ethics, which seeks to guide moral action. The second is applied ethics, which, as delineated in the name itself, deals with the application of ethics and morality to real world issues, that is, controversial topics such as abortion, capital punishment, war tactics, etc. So, applied ethics is especially interesting because its tangibility, real world relevancy helps to ground often abstract conceptualizations of philosophical thought and ethical question. And the last one is that is the third branch of ethics is metaethics or the study of nature of ethics and morality itself. We make here the difference between the applied normative metaethics in different form of metaethical analysis. Now let us see what is metaethics. Metaethics studies the foundations of those ideas themselves through questioning what morality is at its core. You are getting? Metaethics studies the foundation of those ideas themselves. So many ideas are there in, here in morality, and it questions that only. It questions that morality itself. What is its core idea? If you say honesty is the best policy, if it is so honesty, what is the core idea behind this honesty? So it studies that one. That's why it is called metaethics. In official terms, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy defines metaethics as the attempt to understand the metaphysical, epistemological, semantic, and psychological presuppositions and commitments of moral thought, talk, and practice. It seeks ultimately to comprehend and evaluate the nature of ethical properties and analysis. You see, in official terms, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy defines metaethics as the attempt to understand the metaphysical, epistemological, semantic, meaning psychological, presuppositions and commitments of moral thought. What commitments are there? And talk also, and the practice. In cultural and all these, what practice we do? And so many thoughts are there in the form of proverb and all these idioms, and even general documents are there. Declarative sentences are there. Prepositions are there. It seeks ultimately to comprehend and evaluate the nature of ethical properties. What ethical properties are there? What is the nature of that ethical property? And it analyzes them. That is what is here is meta ethics according to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Okay, now let us see in detail. Actually, we so in metaethics there are two parts already we have studied. What is cognitivism and non-cognitivism? Now let us continue with the cognitivism or cognitivist. Yes, most of the cognitivists believe that moral statements presupposes moral properties. It is they are false. They resemble a sort of morality in which they do not associate actions as being either wrong or right, but they can still assign truth value to statement. That is, they can still view the statement killing is wrong as true, despite not articulating whether killing is necessarily wrong or not. This view also known as error theory. It was introduced originally by Mackey. So cognitive says killing is wrong, morally wrong. Whether it is true or right or wrong, sometimes it is right we feel. Sometimes, most of the times, we don't feel like that. We don't take it. Killing is sometimes it is practiced also. So killing is wrong is a true according to the cognitivists. That's why. But here killing is wrong, whether it is true or not, or wrong or right. It is not confined. It is not confirmed also. So it is no. So it is known as error theory. It is originally introduced by Mackey. Cognitive thought encompasses two primary beliefs. They are considering two primary beliefs. One is moral realism and relativism. Moral realism and relativism are the two primary aspects of cognitivism. These are the very two things included. The first is, let us see first relativism. The relativism means whose central thesis is that there exists no universal truth. Ac- huh? According to relativism, it says there is no universal truth is not there at all, but rather that moral judgments are subjective based on differing context and perception. There will not be any universal truth. So always moral statements or judgments, moral judgments are they are subjective based on context and the perception, based on your perception, based on the situation, how you are going to make the statements. It implies that all moral judgments are equally correct, whatever your judgment it may be. Are always moral judgments differ from person to person. They may not be same because perception differ from person to person. Obviously, when perception differs, moral statements or moral judgments also differ. So maybe whatever the difference there, different persons, different perceptions, they're all equally correct. They are somewhat infinitely regressive because they would mean to theory, there would be no theory is necessarily true or false. All the theories, whatever we study, whatever is applied, may not be true or false. How you are taking it, right? How you are taking it. If you are taking it as a true, okay, take it. If you are taking it as a false, okay, no problem. So how you are taking it? So it is being rather self-defeating in terms of following cognitivist thought. It has become very liberal one. How you are going to take the statement, whether it is true or false, it is depends on your perception. In any way you can take. It assigns truth value to moral statements. Whatever you take it, if you say it is wrong, okay, it assigns true value, truth value, truth value. Whatever false statement, if you say it is false, or because there is no universal truth in the world according to this theory. So you can take in your own aspects, in your own ideas, in your own acceptance. So that's why it is self-defeating in terms of cognitive thought. But it still assigns truth value to moral statements. Under the relativism, multiple lies are there. The first is cultural relativism. Relativism means it is very much related to culture of the society, culture of the particular religion. How in the different religion or in different culture, different thoughts are there, different beliefs are there, they are included. Which says relativism says that morality is defined by cultural state elements. Taking cultural elements, morality can be defined. Any culture you take, it depends on the person. The next is agent relativism. What is agent relativism? It is based on the morality on the individual and the actions, and it is based on individual morality. Remember, this agent relativism is based on morality on the individual and their actions, or every individual based on the particular person and his actions. His or her action itself is a agent relativism. What action you are doing, what you believe as a morality based on the personalities. And the third one is speaker relativism. It focuses on the speaker and their claims. What speaker says, right? What speaker says based on his morality. Because so many speakers they are give their statements based on his whatever background he has, whatever ethics he follows, depends on that he or she gives the statement. That is based on his own thoughts. That is called speaker relativism. Right? These are the different types of relativism. Now let us move towards the moral relativism. This is the second primary view of cognitivism. It is statistically the most popular form of metaethics among the philosophers. It is just contrary to relativism. It claims that there are such things as moral facts and values that are objective and independent of individual orientations towards them. Okay, so objectivities. It is contrary to relativism. It claims that there are such things as moral facts and values. Some such things are there. Those are the moral facts and values, and they are objective. They are based on some objectives and independent of individual orientations. So individual, it is different. It is independent from the individual orientations towards them. So in that naturalism comes. Naturalism lies under this theory. It argues that morality is derived from the natural world, and so they can be reduced down into natural properties that constitute post a empirical knowledge. Right? Naturalism lies under the moral realism. Moral realism here consists of naturalism and non-naturalism. Natural obviously comes under this. This argues that morality is derived from the natural world. From the natural world itself, it is derived and can be reduced down into natural properties. This can be uh, considered as natural properties, and there are empirical knowledge. Empirical based on empirical knowledge in the sense experience, based on the experience. So, what we could see in the world, what is being taking place in the nature, these are all becomes value or truth apt. Right? Based on that, it becomes the cognitivism or truth apt. What is there in the nature, what nature says, it is the empirical knowledge based on experience, observation, whatever we do. So that is the morality according to naturalism. So if you come to the non-naturalism, it believes that moral values are independent of nature. They are not dependent on nature, they are independent. They are characterizing natural actions or behaviors as good or bad. What is in the natural action, what is there, they can be classified according to non-naturalism as good or bad. In the nature, so many things are there. They can be classified into good or bad based on the characters. Based on the characters, we can classify the things into good or bad. Remember, non-naturalism is not based on nature. It is independent of nature. Means it is apart from the nature. So it can classify the things or the truth or morality as good or bad. This is about cognitivism. Then if you come to non-cognitivism, the meaning already we have seen, we'll see there are different varieties. They may be emotivism, then different expressivism, and then prescriptivism. Now let us see one by one. See, emotivism. It was popularized by H. Iyer and C.L. Stevenson. It holds that ethical declarations express solely emotions. Declarations are what cognitivism says, declaration. But these non-cognitive says the ethical declarations express only emotions, specifically those of approval or disapproval. Right? These, according to emotivism, it holds that ethical declarations express solely emotions. Emotions or some sentiments, we can say. Those are maybe it is approved on or disapproved, whatever it may be. Right? But emotions are expressed there. That is what here is emotivism. Emotivism or emotional. This is there. And the next here one is prescriptive prescriptivism. It claims that moral statements serve as universalizable imperatives or commands meant to influence the behavior of all others. For example, the preposition murder is wrong. What it actually means, don't kill, right? Prescriptive means in the form of prescription. It claims that moral statements serve as universalizable. Universalizable means you can universalize it. It is these are universal imperatives or commands They are meant to influence the behavior of all others. They influence the behavior of all the people. Take for example, murder is wrong. If this is the statement, it means what here? Don't kill. That what it says. It is remember this prescriptivism claims that moral statements serve as universal imperatives. Universally it is acceptable or universal commands. It it is it becomes preposition. It becomes acceptable by whole society. It is like that. It guides. Then if you come to expressivism, it argues that moral statements do not assert any objective fact, but it expresses an attitudes, right? It attitude. What must be the attitude? It attitudes behavior of the moral behavior of the individual. It expresses. That is what here is here expressiveness. How you are expressing, how the things are being expressed. Based on this is very much dependent. Okay, this is what. Next one is quasi-realism. It is defended by Simon Blackburn. It states that ethical statements behave as factual claims that can be assigned some sort of truth value. They cannot be called realist since there exists no ethical facts for them to associate with or correspond to also. So quasi means semi it is. Realism, what is there? It is quasi-realism. So it uh, states ethical statements behave as a factual claims. It pretends as if it is or it behaves as if it is a factual claims that can be assigned to some sort of truth value. Some sort of truth values are there. That is, those are cognitivisms. For that, it can be some might not 100% they are not cognitivism. So truth value can be assigned to. So, but they cannot be called as realist because there is no existence of ethical facts with it. Okay. So what we can say here is metaethics seems to operate in rather abstract terms. It is extremely useful in pragmatic deliberations. Pragmatic deliberation means so day to day what we use uh, terminologies. It is very useful for us when explaining whether or not individual are normally morally accountable for actions they take or fail to take. We can use it whether individuals are morally accountable for actions they take or fail to take. All the individuals, what actions they do, if they are morally accountable or not, whatever actions they have taken. For this purpose, metaethics is very useful. So, John Green, he uh, presents it in an interesting story or some scenario, we can say, like metaethics. So, just we'll see what is that. One thief trying to rob, just you listen, just it is a like story. One thief trying to rob the house of an old lady. The doors are all locked shut. So he decided that the only way to get in is through breaking the windows. However, what he didn't know is that the old lady is lying on the floor in critical condition due to a carbon monoxide leak in her house. So he broke the windows, and because of that, the toxic gas was let out. Consequently, he saved the life of that old lady. So, what do you mean by this? Actually, he didn't know. Actually, he didn't know about this. So, he didn't end up stealing also. He didn't end up stealing anything also. This brings up a few ethical questions. Did he do the moral righteous thing by technically saving the lady's life? Let me repeat. Did he do the moral righteous thing by technically saving the lady's life? Or was he attempted act of stealing immoral nonetheless? Another question, does the fact that he did not end up stealing anything diminish the moral immorality of the act, or is the intentionality more important? These are the complicated one in real life scenarios. These are involving intentionality, consequences, and moral application. These are explained in the metaethics. So, metaethics is necessary in deciding. Metaethics is necessary in deciding the such things, whether whether or not moral actions should be accompanied by a degree of accountability. Accountability is very important for our actions. So, metaethics help us to explain the degree of accountability. So, if you this sense of this accountability, sense of implied responsibility or lack of thereof brings up the subject of free will, and whether or not responsibility presupposes free will. In the just you can see the context of politics, metaethics can help us explain toleration in liberal democratic societies. Are certain moral differences intolerable? On a so many moral differences are there. Some are tolerable, some are intolerable. So then question comes: is it possible to tolerate intolerable actions? Some relativists take these conflicts into account. Intolerable actions can be tolerable. So they take it tolerable. It is possible. These are the conflicts. Some relatives take these conflicts into account and explain that morality should thus be acknowledged as a subjective concept. Nonetheless, this runs into further issues as cultures of extreme intolerance, that is, neo-Nazism, can be rationalized as equally as moral as any other perception of morality. Nazism, Nazis and all this, whatever done, what they did, that in the one of the previous classes we discussed, I think Nazism, they killed and all these Jews, and they wanted to uh, end up their life. This is so. If you take this, sometimes if you want to consider intolerance should be tolerated, so then can be neo-Nazisms, what they did, equally it is tolerable, or morality weakens. It is said. So because They are likely to promote a sense of intolerance while diminishing any remnant of what is actually tolerable or good. So you know that ethics are complicated, especially when viewed on a meta level. Always ethics are not so, because this is ethics is not a particular subject. It all depends on the human belief, human based on human thoughts and all this. That's why it is very complicated one. Ethics is a complicated one. It depends on the value, knowledge, culture, background of the individuals. So what we think as a ethic may not be ethics for others. So always defining ethics, that too at a meta level, it is very difficult. So anyhow, we have done attempted it. Okay, thank you. We'll see the other things in the um, next class.